everyone, kia ora koutou, haere mai, talofa lava, bienvenue, willkommen, bienvenuto, g'day mates, and welcome along to Showy Ovaries, a podcast where I, polyglotted, Penny Ashton, not really, delve into the often seemingly foreign language of menopause to try and translate just what the hell might happen to me when I get bamboozled by incomprehensible hormones, and also where I torture metaphors. As always, a quick reminder, I am not a doctor, though in an even more continuing series of school certificates, I did win an Oscar, in inverted commas, in 1991 for my brilliant portrayal of Lady Macduff. And I didn't even slap anyone. But if you are needing any answers to what is going on with your endocrines, please seek out someone with a proper medical certificate and not one that I'm pretty sure they gave to every member of a cast. Today's guest is also not a doctor, but researchers at the, now get this, Beth Israel Medical Centre's Louis Armstrong Centre for Music and Medicine, which is a thing, they recently concluded that music, and specifically singing, was effective in treatments for premature babies, for pain, depression, and maybe even Alzheimer's. So, and I like to think that listening to her is a balm indeed. She is a New Zealand icon, a judge on New Zealand Idol, co-founder of the 80s Kiwiana trio When the Cat's Been Spayed, stalwart of Christmas in the Park, which is actually when we met, I don't know if you remember, but the 4 mayors of Auckland did my New Zealand Christmas poem. I think it was about 2003, something like that, and you were very kind because I was a little bit, there's 100,000 people out there. She is the star of stage and screen, and my first podcast guest to come to my house and bring cinnamon buns.
Yay!
So please go wild and crazy with applause for Jackie Clarke. Hey.
Oh, thank you, Penny.
That's
nice to be here.
I'll try and make it sound like 100,000 people. Exactly. Hilarious. So how you doing?
I'm good. I'm bunned up. You know, I've had my cinnamon bun.
I think you said you're bunged up.
No, bunned up.
You're bunged up. You've got your hands on some buns. And that's a good way to start the day.
The carbs are racing through my system.
Excellent. Now, you've just sold your house, so well done in this declining market.
I know, it's a miracle.
Excellent, and you found the whole process a little taxing.
More than a little taxing, most stressful thing I've ever been through in my life. Luckily, I had my partner there with me, holding my hand, but we were just couldn't believe how full on it was. What a major life moment it is.
Yes, I haven't had to do that. Buying one was fun enough, but selling one is different. Yeah, there's that whole, and you have strangers trooping through your house.
Yeah, and you have to be, act like a grown up and kind of do the best thing for your house and try to realize your asset.
Yes, and yeah, because you had like a bazillion snow globes and things.
Well, our house was like a little museum of kitsch. It was just full from floor to ceiling with stuff we've both collected over the years, which is apparently not the way you're supposed to present your house when you're selling it.
I think clutter is to be discouraged.
I think if there's too much of you in a house, people can't see themselves.
That's what they say. I don't know if we've suddenly gone to the thrill.
I don't know.
So you cleared out all the snow globes?
Well, no. We just decided that we wanted a house that had a vibe and a soul, because the place does have a real beautiful feeling to it, and it feels like just a real slice of classic grey linen, even though that's a terrible cliche, but we didn't want to clear it all out, but we just left little pockets of our taste. But basically, painted the whole house white inside. So it's a weird process, and you have to sort of let go of 24 years of history in a place, but it all went really well. But boy, I'm exhausted. I could just do nothing for a month afterwards. It was exhausting.
Well, it's like we're in a pandemic and the performing arts is decimated. So welcome to not doing anything for a month.
I'm getting used to it. I'm quite good at it, actually.
Oh, really? I'm terrible. I am terrible at doing nothing. Ask my husband. He'll come home and I'm like, I've done nothing. And he's like, that's fine. I'm like, no, it's not. I'm bad at doggy paddling at life is what I've decided. But you've got things coming up?
Yeah, I have. It feels like the rhythm of life is returning to normal.
I saw you do Sweet Charity. Oh, look at that! There's a segue.
Oh, well, that was like a dream come true. One of those shows I've always loved as a kid to actually be that character.
That was my favourite musical.
Yeah, it is my favourite musical.
Yeah,
I love it. So
Hey Big Spender is just a wonderful song.
It is, but Charity doesn't get to sing that song.
That's true.
What a rip-off.
Yeah, right.
But I did get to bounce on a trampoline bed, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I remember you being fantabulous. That was my main takeaway. Not just blowing smoke up your ass, which is a very strange expression. Because why would you, right? Like, why present your ass and blow smoke up it, which is a good thing. makes no sense. But you were very fabulous. I do remember that.
Oh, thank you. I loved it. I did love it.
Excellent, good. Right, well, enough of those things. We're going to move on to some other things now. And I have your much longer introduction, so brace yourself.
Okay.
So here we go. Jacqueline Emma Clarke was born in 1966 and had a happy childhood growing up in a state house in Gisborne. She describes herself as that classic New Zealand mix of Samoan, Scottish and English. She's always been an overachiever and in fact at school was head girl, runner-up ducks and debating champion. Probably quite hard to argue with, I imagine. She started her first band in Gizzy in 1981, which was a synth pop outfit called Marching Orders, and then marched to Victoria University where she got a rude awakening into city life and also a BA in history. Though she has no formal singing training, she's gone on to make an incredibly successful and sustained career as a performing artist in New Zealand, from When the Cat's Been Spayed to starring in musical theatre, to being in The Lady Killers with Tina Cross and Suzanne Lynch, to singing with all of our orchestras and with other legends such as Dave Dobbin and Annie Crummer, to presenting documentaries on TV and MC for countless events, to judging on New Zealand Idol and Showcase, acting in the comedy shows Skits and the Jackie Brown Diaries, etc., etc., etc. She always adds professional sparkle and powerhouse vocals. So once again, please welcome the member of the New Zealand Order of Merit for services to the entertainment industry, Jackie Clarke. Yay! Do you like hearing all that at once?
Oh, it's weird. Yeah.
That's what everyone says.
Well, it's funny when you've been around as long as I have. Mm-hmm. I feel like it's a sort of act of... It's a political act to keep going as a woman, for 30... I often say I've been in the industry for 35 years, or it's probably longer now, and people go, oh, bless.
As opposed to fucking well done.
Yeah, I don't think New Zealanders, we don't celebrate longevity here. There's only a few of us that can do it, because you're very lucky if you can carve out a career for decades. It's hard yakka. Mm. But I don't think we celebrate our older artists because there's such an attention on the new.
Yeah.
And everybody is lauded quickly and then ignored quickly. So people generally have a quick rise to fame and then it's all downhill from there.
Yeah. And there is certainly derision around ageing. I feel like it's changing a bit, but yet not hugely. Like you see a lot of the same younger people now on television and things like that.
Yeah, well, no, television's not a place for older women. I mean, they just... Yeah.
One thing I do think about the new streaming platforms is that has changed a bit. Mm. There's this new, I was just telling you before about a new show about Julia Child, and it's got Beb Newirth and Sarah Lancaster and another older. So it's got older people in it, and I was like, I'm noticing this, which just goes to show how rare it is to have this. But I feel like when it's not all dependent on that 18 to 24 demographic that people were so obsessed with for advertising, just anybody who's got their $15 to pay to Netflix, that there is a wider range now.
Mm. And I'm finding that in general with just female characters in general, that the type of women you see in dramas is just so diverse. And I didn't realise how... sort of it was just boring archetypes. You sort of get so used to it. The mother, the slut, the
virgin, the whore.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff, you get used to it. And now you're seeing all this incredible array of different women. I'm going, in a real female point of view. Yeah. And I'm going, oh, this is just, yay.
Yeah.
Yay.
I mean, who would have thought that if you involve women in writing things, that women would become more interesting?
Yes.
Yeah, I know. It's not rocket science, really, is it? Absolutely. And one thing we also have in common is that we are both the voice of Power Rangers monsters.
Ah, yeah.
So is it Poisandra or something?
Poisandra, yeah. Well, I was typecast because she's a
Is she a virgin or a whore?
No, she's a megalomaniac diva. And I was thinking, it's not what I'm like. But yeah, she's crazy diva.
Can you give us a burst of her voice?
Oh, it's been a while. No, probably not.
Right. My first one was in 2003 and I was Russian, which is not good to say now. I was called Fraggle. I shrunk people and put them in my perfume bottles. And all this sort of stuff. Yeah, I wish we had more character cartoon stuff.
One was called Leisure, and she was like this, but I had to come back and do it again because it was too annoying.
Can you be less annoying this time, please? I don't know if I can.
Well, the best thing is Poisandra does have her own, toy.
Oh, wow.
Not very hard to find, but I got one on eBay, a figurine of Poisandra, and she looks like a sort of Hello Kitty kind of pink.
Awesome.
Just crazy space girl.
Nice.
Yeah, so I was thinking, that's cool. I've actually got my own, whatever they're called. Figurine.
Figurine.
Yes.
There you go, yes.
Poisandra.
Now, onto
Yes.
the matter at hand.
Yes.
So now, as my first question to everyone has been, what has your relationship with your body been like in your life, and what journey has that been on, etc.?
Well, my relationship with my body, I guess I kind of ignore my body unless it's doing something wrong.
Right. Good.
So I take it for granted,
Right.
From a health perspective. And I suppose from a female form perspective, I've always found my body very useful because I'm very curvy. Mm-hmm. I have this kind of classic hourglass figure, which hasn't always been the fashion, but I've been able to dress myself in a way that I feel is very that I love.
And one thing I remember about Christmas in the Park specifically, because it was the first time I'd done anything like that, 100,000 people.
Yeah.
I wasn't on the Tally one, I was in the Christchurch one. But I remember how particular you were about what you were wearing.
I'm very particular.
Yeah, and you had a black corset, I think, that you liked to wear under, and then you had a black and red dress and beads, and you just had, I remember it distinctly, and I just remember how focused you were on knowing how you should look, which I think takes a while in the entertainment industry.
I've always had it.
Oh, right. Oh, that's good, because I did a Women's Day shoot once, and I was like, I don't think I like how I look, and they're like, you look amazing, and then I hated the finished product.
The first time I got styled for a women's magazine, I could not believe that how generic it was. I was thinking, you people haven't even shown me the respect of knowing how I dress and what I do.
Because they were like, you need to wear plain colours.
They had a range of stuff, but it was like, that's not who I am. And I've always dressed very specifically to please myself. And I think that's one of the most powerful things we have as women performers is how we present ourselves. You can totally command the room with cleavage.
Yep. And I have been known to do this.
Yeah, and it's a very powerful thing to do. And in fact, my favourite thing about being a performer is rocking up to sound check, in my jeans and a t-shirt and Chuck Taylors and my glasses, and people going, well, where's Jackie? And feeling really, you can tell this level of unease.
Right.
And then on the night when I'm there in my diva frock and the girls are out and I've, got everything happening, it's like, oh, phew, she turned up.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of power that comes from knowing how to look so that you can control a room. That's my favourite thing.
I mean, I got cut out of a TV show once because they said my cleavage was too much.
Yeah, well, sometimes it can be a bit distracting for people.
But then you're like, yeah, and in this particular course, it was quite mind-boggling.
Yeah.
And it's funny too because I just wish somebody had maybe given me a bit more guidance on the night.
Yeah,
or
after the event is not much help.
Yeah, exactly. But and to be, I've always been told I'm too full on and cut out because I'm too full on and stuff like that.
Oh, I know, but that's the classic thing. I've had the same thing all my life too.
Yeah. Do you still get the girls out now?
Oh yeah,
excellent.
Yeah, I mean, one thing about COVID is I haven't really been dressing up at all.
I know,
and and the thought of it fills me with fear and loathing because it's such a lot of effort.
You see, well, it is a lot of effort too. A lot of people are doing, it's so funny, doing their TikToks and their videos and stuff. And I'm like, I have to make an effort to get dressed before I'll do that because I also, want to look a certain way on things.
You have the Penny Ashton persona that you've built up.
Exactly. So I've slapped on some lipstick today to welcome you to our house.
So I'm very flattered.
Yes, you're welcome. But yeah, it is, you want to craft that image and it does take some work, but I have missed it as well.
I miss it, but I realise now because I'm not doing it every day, and like in my previous normal life, I just realise how much effort it is. So I'm just sort of going, oh, well, once I'm back in the swing of it, that's fine. But I basically have a full drag persona, really. And I don't do anything by half. So it's like I'm not going to ever turn up with a natural look.
Yeah, and I'm a bit the same that way. Absolutely, I commend that. Yeah, because this is one thing I found too. I've toured a lot in various places to fringe festivals, and a lot of the time, the stand-up dudes, they just hit the stage wearing what they've been flying on in the street or what have you. And I'm about to start writing a Shakespeare show. I haven't written a word, but I've contacted Elizabeth Whiting.
Good.
About my costume.
But it's always often your character. Everything comes together once you put the costume.
Yeah, and you feel it. I always wear corsets for my costumes, which is sometimes restricted for singing, but yet marvelous for the girls.
Yeah,
and just looking, you feel like, right, this is it. This is a fucking costume. You walk on stage and people take a moment to take in the vision that is before them. Yeah,
and it's ultra female. That's what I like about it. It's just the most female female forms that you can present.
Absolutely.
And I think actually as I've got older, I've got more and more comfortable in my body, and I feel more powerful. I feel more and more powerful the older I get. Whereas I look back at my 20s and 30s, I look at photos of myself and I go, I was actually quite beautiful, and I didn't know it at the time. At the time, all you see is your fat thighs and, your bad posture and your kind of thin lips and all those, you have a list of things that you're always trying to hide.
Yeah.
And now I don't give a fuck. I feel beautiful. I am beautiful.
You are beautiful.
Well, I didn't know it at the time back then when in my prime, that time that everybody, the whole world is just vampiric when it comes to youth, especially young women, and just wanting to consume the beauty and the essence and the vitality of young women. And when you've got that, you don't even know you've got it. That's the funny thing, isn't it?
Well, it's quite funny. I've talked about this in the podcast a bit, but I was quite overweight at that time. And it was a lot to do with my epilepsy medication, but I didn't know that it was. But I felt deeply unattractive for all of that time that other people don't. So that's interesting.
Yeah.
So for me, it was more in my 30s when I started to feel actually good about myself.
It's just a quiet level of shame about your body. I think most women live with some quiet level of shame.
But for mine, it was a bit louder, I reckon. Maybe they turn the volume down a bit more when other people might turn it up, which is interesting.
I was really heavy, as they say. I mean, I was probably weighed about 12 stone when I was in my late teens. And when I first started playing in bands and things, I remember one bloke said to me, the band would be really great, Jackie, if you just lost a little bit of weight.
Would you play better if I lost weight? What a fucker.
I know, what a fucker. But people have no compunction about saying things like that. That's just like, hey, get your shit together.
Yeah.
But weight is a weird thing, isn't it? I think I've realised that I spent my life feeling like a big girl.
Which is so crazy because
it's crazy, but in our business, if you are anything other than a size 8 or 10, it's like all the designers will lend you stuff if you can fit their sample range.
Yeah.
You've got to be a size 8 or 10 or even a 6, so all that access to... the thing that brings me to rage more than anything else is when I've got money to spend in a fashion store and their sizing does not accommodate me. And I think, for fuck's sake, I'm an average-sized woman. Yeah, there's some labels where it'll only go to... They're 12 and 14 is, I don't know...
What they're modelling them on.
I don't know what they're modelling them on, but it's nothing to do with the size that women are.
Yeah.
So I feel that makes me really angry. And mostly I've always dressed myself... I've always had things made for me, like the wonderful Elizabeth Whiting, because I don't usually, off the shelf doesn't work for my girls.
So what about your relationship with your body when you had children's?
Oh, yeah, well, that really changed because I was not a naturally maternal person and probably left to my own devices, I wouldn't have had children.
Oh.
But I fell in with a man.
A man?
Mr.
LaHood.
I fell in with Mr. LaHood, and he came from a large family. And he just took one look at my childbearing hips and he said, honey, this is destiny.
And I was like, Grant.
Oh, no. Well, I could never bring myself to say I want children. The nearest I got to it was saying I'll stop taking contraceptives.
It's like a negative makes a positive.
It's ridiculous. I don't know. I've never looked at babies and gone, oh, that's adorable. I would run a mile for babies.
I mean, I'm this person completely, but not I never actually went there.
Yeah, not interested at all. But he said, I really want to have children. And I thought, well, if I'm going to... And then what happened was my twin sister got pregnant. And once she was pregnant, I thought, oh, I've got no excuse.
That's weird.
It's really grown up, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's a competition.
No, not a competition. It's just that it's just a twin. It's not a twin thing. It's just like, oh, you have to move on with your life. And honestly, it's the best almost decision I never made. And I think I said I'll go off contraception thinking it'll take years. And literally I was pregnant within months.
Oh, wow.
And then it was the most amazing journey.
Great.
I was very... very, very sick for weeks.
Oh.
But I was working. When I worked, I wasn't sick. So Dr. Theatre.
Yeah.
I think I was doing a show called Sirens at the time, like a cabaret show with Tina Cross, wearing black corsets.
Right. And was that difficult to sing?
No, you just make do. You just do what you do. No, I never had any trouble with that. But and then the moment you get off stage, I was having Huntley and Palmer's crackers and trying not to vomit. So, but when you're working, you feel great.
People might not know what Dr. Theatre is, but it's this notion where you can just feel like shit. But
Yes.
it's adrenaline, basically.
Basically, it's adrenaline.
The adrenaline of performance can just, I remember once in Toronto Fringe, I was backstage and I just felt disgusting. And I just stood up and put a smile on my face and then just walked out on stage. And it's amazing. You feel better for 70 minutes and then you often crash more.
And then you crash. I mean, I had a similar thing with a few years ago. I was just about to go on stage to do a show called Tarnished Frocks and Divas in Tauranga, which is it's an amazing, massive fashion event featuring only women over 40.
Great.
Anyway, I was about to come on stage and I got a phone call and I just found out that my sister-in-law had just fallen off a mountain and died.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, it was horrible. It was the most horrible thing. And I literally, I was about to go on stage. Yeah.
And you did?
I did. And it was surreal and it was fine. It was a great show. And then the moment I came off stage, I just collapsed. And it was just so horrible. But Dr. Theatre can make you can get through anything. It's crazy.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. And then now you like your children.
I love my children. And actually, the relationship I have with my body was, you suddenly become aware of this incredible feat of engineering that
Fully.
it is.
Yeah.
I mean, I loved being pregnant. After that initial I want to vomit all the time phase, you treat yourself better than you ever treat yourself at any other time. You eat healthily, you have naps. You have this, I can remember the feeling of just having this little private aquarium and just feeling this little fish fluttering around and nobody else could feel this fish.
Right.
And
your personal little koi cup.
My little koi in there. We used to call Stan. That Stan's my firstborn, Fanta. Before he was born, he was called Fanta.
Why?
I don't know. Fanta was the name that us and all our friends called the unborn child.
Little Fanta.
Yeah, and then I don't know. For some reason, I remember when I actually went into labour, thinking, oh, it's got to come out. I don't know why. I mean, this obvious truth. Unassailable truth.
Did you not get good sex education?
Undeniable truth. But on some level, you just get so used to this kind of being this little aquarium. It's just this most delicious state.
That glass is about to get smashed.
And then suddenly you get this feeling of a boat grinding against a wharf.
There's a lot of nautical situations.
I don't know why that is, but that was the feeling of labour, this kind of feeling of just basically your loins opening kind of thing.
Makes me think of that boat that was stuck in the Suez Canal.
Well, nothing was stuck, although both my labours have been long, like 16 hours kind of thing.
Right.
But it's actually fine. It's not like pain. It's not a pain thing. It's more of a primal, deep,
Right.
sort of thing.
Like a foghorn.
Yeah, basically.
Right.
So, in the first birth, nothing went particularly well. Ended up with forceps. And others, honestly, it was all fine. It was all fine. And then suddenly you've got my very large breasts were like this. Made Pamela Anderson look like flat-chested.
Right.
And you've got strange women in the hospital wrapping them in cabbage and all sorts of weird stuff. Because you get these big, rock-hard tits as when your milk comes in.
Yeah.
And they're very sore.
Yeah.
And you get all these sort of folkloric kind of ways to make them feel better. And one of them is wrapping them in cabbage.
Wow.
Cabbage
Turn
leaves.
into coleslaw.
Yeah. Well, so it gets hot and sort of, yeah.
So is this cabbage that's been in the fridge?
I don't remember. I just remember getting used to people touching your body in a really, you just get used to it. You just get used to from the moment somebody's sewing up your vagina just after, to people just
sticking cabbage
and holding your tits and helping you get, latch your baby on and all that. So you just get used to this kind of, my body belongs to this small person,
right,
and also everybody else in the room. And then the first one, it took a long time to get the breastfeeding happening, but then it did, and then you become. Then your body is this incredible piece of engineering that can sustain another human. It's absolutely mind-blowing.
Yes, and that's the thing about the system that we've been given, but then it has all these other aspects to it and stuff. So, did you know about menopause at all?
No, I mean, no. It's the last unspoken. It's just some far off thing. And actually, I've only had conversations about menopause with women who've already been through menopause now that I'm going through menopause, and I talk about it. But I realise I've worked with women my whole life who've been going through it and have never said a thing.
I know.
And it's like, I don't know why, but as soon as you say to them, oh my God, because I have major hot flushes all the time, night sweats, all that sort of stuff.
Right.
As soon as you mention it, they go, oh, well, I had this, and this, and this. And you think, I've known you for decades, and you never said anything at the time.
I know, and it does feel strange that it feels like Generation X has gotten to an age and just gone, this is not good enough.
Yeah.
Why were we not informed? And it's because there's been so much shame around women's bodies. But yeah, it just feels quite odd that this is all of a sudden, because does seem quite quickly that we've just gone, no, we're going to talk about this. So what is it about this specific generation of women that's come through that's just gone, fuck this, we need everyone to know about it. But we need younger women to be interested. I mean, I'm not there. So I was like, a friend of mine nearly died from bleeding out.
Jesus.
And they were like, oh, it's menopause. I was like, I'm sorry, what? And so then from there, I've sort of been looking into it and been just horrified that we haven't talked about it. So did your mother not talk about her menopause?
No.
Yeah, well.
But I'm still waiting for a sex talk from my mother.
Oh.
My mother passed away at the beginning of COVID, actually, so it's too late now.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Could you see her?
Intermittently.
Oh, that's really hard.
It was awful.
Yeah.
I mean, it was awful. But no, she wasn't very forthcoming.
So no sex talks?
No, not really.
So how did you find out about the sex? Or is that how you got pregnant? Because Grant tricked you into it and you were never told?
I was sexually active at a young age, and I just took myself off to family planning and put myself on the pill. I remember biking there in my school uniform.
Oh my God. Amazing.
Well,
so how did you find out about periods and things like that?
I remember it was just talk in the schoolyard, and I remember going, oh, for God's sake, that's ridiculous. Of course that doesn't happen. What, the bleeding out? Yep, no, come on. And then you... Yeah.
Then true.
In fact, I think I probably bought my own tampons first, it's honestly.
So
self-managing.
So is this shame from your mum, do you think, just because of her generation, or?
Oh, I just think you don't. If you don't talk about it, it's not going to bother you. I think we just got on with it,
And did you have good education at school?
Yeah. That was forthcoming. Yeah,
good,
but not about sexuality or. I mean, it was a very medicalised, biologically based information. That's it.
Yeah, and that's what we got. And I was at a Catholic primary school and then a high school. But the thing that I find great now, like I've got friends with teenage boys who are at high schools in Christchurch and they're getting consent lessons.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, which that certainly wasn't a thing.
No.
Yeah, that's great. So do you know what sort of symptoms your mother had in menopause?
No.
Right.
Wouldn't have a clue. But I have an older sister who's 8 years older, and I think she was the first person that said to me, oh no, this can go for 8 to 10 years.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, well, people keep that a secret, don't they?
Yeah, they really do.
It goes for years and years and years. And she suffers from like rage. She has full-on rage.
Right.
But my twin sister and I think we both have similar symptoms, and it's mostly just wicked hot flushes. I mean, I never travel anywhere without a fan.
Right. Do you have a neck fan?
I do. I've been given...
I've just heard about these.
I've got one that goes around my neck like that. So like a set of headphones.
Yes, and it blows up at you from underneath.
I've got those, and I've got 2 hand fans. I mean, I've always run hot as a human anyway. I'm just a sweaty bitch from hell. But now it's just like... In fact, for years, I've had women come up to me at gigs with a knowing look, thinking I'm already in menopause, but I have.
I had that at a wedding.
I'm just sweaty.
Yeah, that's what happened at a wedding. It was like, this is a conservatory. There's a synthetic fibres. I don't think I am. Yeah, right. Yes.
But there's some sort of thing about women and sweat that it's just we're not
glow.
supposed to.
We glow.
And I actually the other day I was in a restaurant and there was a very butch-looking jock maitre d' bloke, and his entire back of his shirt was
saturated.
Absolutely saturated. And interestingly enough, only half of the front of his shirt down one side of his buttons was absolutely wet. And I was thinking, if you were a woman, I think you would have,
I feel like he should have changed anyway. He's around food.
It was pretty weird. I was thinking, there's no way a woman would be walking around, completely drenched like that.
It'd be like a wet t-shirt competition.
Well, I think if you know that you're that sort of person, you always have spear
Well, I
or something like that.
waitressed in London, and the food was upstairs and the drinks were downstairs. So you were always running up and down, and I would get quite... well, it wasn't like that, but I would have sweat like dripping down my lip and down my forehead, like in a London summer without any air conditioning. And we had to wear long black trousers with a white shirt tucked in and braces. So let's all think how sexy that was with my double G cups. That's right. Thank you very much. And sweaty. So this is when I wasn't feeling my power as a young lady.
No, you feel disgusting.
Yeah. And a tie as well, with braces around tits. Anyway, right. So how did it start for you?
I have to admit that I had to look up perimenopause when I knew I was coming on this podcast, thinking, am I still in it? By the definition, perimenopause starts when your period ends.
Yeah.
Well,
for 12 months.
Well, my period just stopped.
Right.
It just went, yes, gone.
So no haywire, no flooding?
Nothing before that. I mean, I've always had a very tardy period. No trouble at all, very tardy.
Very tardy period. Did you never have to have nappy sand or anything like that?
No flooding.
No flooding.
No bad white trouser stories or anything like that.
Do you have white trousers?
I have white and black sequin trousers.
That's very different.
I've never kind of given myself over to the white pant.
No, I wouldn't do that either. And so how old were you when they stopped?
Oh, God. I mean, it's all a blur. But,
in the past.
Well, this must have been going on. I'm so used to the hot flushes now that I couldn't. It's at least 2 years. It's possibly 4. If I think it's 2 years, it's probably 4 years.
Right. Okay.
56 now. Maybe it was 52. I'm not keeping a diary. But honestly, it literally just stopped and I never came back. Because I know I've got friends who went through phases where they'd have a period and then they'd not have a period for 3 months and then they'd have another, But no, mine just went, see ya.
Right.
And so...
Was that great?
Well, because it's always been not a big deal for me anyway.
Oh my God, you're so lucky.
I'm so lucky, and I realise that.
Yeah.
Incredibly lucky. And I've just still got boxes of old Tampax in my
bathroom bring them
cupboard.
with
I
me.
know, I should have bought them. It's really thoughtless of me. So then I'm going, I don't know what perimenopause was like for me.
Right.
But I guess it's just...
So you didn't get any like joint aches or anxiety?
I don't suffer from anxiety. I do have some joint aches.
Right, good. And no, because you can get feelings like spiders are crawling over your head.
No, nothing
None of
like that. It's
Nothing like
major night sweats.
Right.
I'm a person who sleeps like a log, but I do now wake up.
Because of them. And is it like, can you describe them to people that don't know what it is or how it feels?
You wake up and you're in a pool of your own sweat.
Actual pool.
You're just completely wet.
Wow.
And so then you throw off...
So it's like having a fever. It's like being in COVID.
It is like having a fever, and then you get cold.
Right.
So it's just like... And I have to say, it's difficult to sleep with another human.
Yes, I better say. And how did Grant...
Well, he's kind of used to it, but I guess it's not that pleasant. And if I'm honest, I would probably rather sleep on my own.
Yeah, I was about to say, it wasn't so much wondering about him. I was like, how does it feel for you to be him to be there?
Yeah, no, sometimes he's just this fiery furnace of heat that I can't deal with.
Be near. So do you go and sleep somewhere else?
No, he will sometimes leave if my snoring is so bad.
I'm sure you don't snore.
No, apparently I snore like a truck driver, but I always say Aretha Franklin used to snore, so fuck you.
Yeah, fair.
And I've never heard it.
Give me a little respect.
That's right.
Apparently I've been known to snore as well, but I prefer to think of it as a snuffle. Even though that's funny, isn't it? That's like some gendered bullshit, isn't it?
It's the same, snoring and sweating. You're not supposed to do either.
Yeah.
I do both gloriously.
Yes.
So get used to it. It's just, yeah.
I wear earplugs because it's not so much Matt's snoring, it's his breathing.
Oh.
Yeah, it's irritating. But I don't want him to stop, so I wear earplugs.
Yeah. No, that would be not helpful.
So then every now and then, that stuff as well. So he's very cute, though.
Oh, bless.
So basically just these sweats you think are your only symptoms?
Sweats and the hot flush thing is full on because I get them all the time.
Oh, you get them all the time. Right?
And the things I like to do, like drinking coffee and alcohol,
Yes.
they exacerbate the hot flushes. And then just stress. So like my classic thing is if I'm getting ready for a gig and I might have a makeup artist, if it's a good gig, I've got a beautiful hair and makeup artist that I use. And if I'm feeling stressed, often I will have sweated out the
What they've
makeup
done.
almost before it's finished. It's that thing of you just get so hot, and I have to have my feet in a bucket of cold water and
Oh, wow.
fanning, and I'll be sweating through my hair. My hair will be wet.
Right.
Honestly, it can be so full on, but mostly I can hide it. But sometimes you can't. Like when you're in a state of heightened anything, you will get a hot.
Right.
You'll get a hot flush, and your body chemistry, whenever it's affected by something like sugar or caffeine or alcohol, you're asking for it.
I know it's deeply sad that alcohol is an issue as we age. I know. I've been interviewed both Nikki Prezant and Nikki Pellegrino about their books, and they both bang on about drinking less.
I
It's
know,
annoying.
and so the whole brain fog thing. I mean, I have brain fog, but I'm pretty sure it's related to the amount I drink, not menopause.
I mean, you seem sober right now.
I'm sober right now.
Right.
Daytime drinking's not an issue yet.
Yeah.
So it's just maybe I need to move out west so that I have no...
Welcome. No, I don't usually drink during the day, despite living in West Auckland now.
No,
but
if I have a drink of like a glass of Prosecco at lunch, I'm just wrecked. I just can't do it.
Right.
It's just
Well, it's good to be aware of your limitations.
Yes, yes.
And have you ever pondered medications or things like that?
I have discussed HRT with my GP, and it may be something that I try.
Right. So you're getting to the point of these are just really annoying.
Yeah, and if I'm honest, it's really it's my joints, because sometimes I feel like I'm moving really like an old woman, and I don't feel like an old woman.
Right.
So
You
I
don't look like an
I
old
don't
woman.
want to have the mobility of an old woman.
Yeah, and that's obviously something that can be helped with HRT.
it's worth a go. I sort of said to myself, yeah, I'm thinking about it.
Do you do any weight-bearing exercise?
No, I exercise. I don't do any exercise.
You don't do any exercise?
I'm so bad.
Right, you just hate it.
I like going for a walk,
That's exercise.
but I don't go for a walk.
Oh.
But if I've got a friend, and she motivates me, and if she says let's go for a walk, I'll go for a walk. But honestly, left to my own devices, I'll go, oh, I must go for a walk, and then I walk away from that thought.
A small walk?
A little walk.
Yeah, so lockdown was so good. I did so much walking, like, almost every day.
At the start I did. Yeah, I was
Right.
really motivated. And then I used to get completely beside myself at the fact that people wouldn't,
give you
socially
space.
distance
Yeah.
when you went for walks.
Yeah.
And, but no, I was doing a lot of walking. And I love walking. And when I'm focused on, like if I got a show coming up and I know I need to get my basic
Lines.
fitness rate
Oh,
up,
right,
and,
yes.
and basically, and I will run lines and I will learn to go over lyrics and things like that. But honestly, in this current state of this malaise, I'm doing nothing.
Right, okay.
I'm eating cinnamon buns.
You're eating cinnamon, and I joined you in a cinnamon bun because they're so delicious. Remind me of my time in Canada. I got 2 4-kilo weights from Kmart, and
that's a lot.
Yes, because one of the side effects of being obsessed with weight from a young age was I've been a member of Les Mills since 1992.
And you go to the gym. See, going to the gym is my idea of hell.
I did, but then a little thing called Omicron came
Yes,
along, and
yeah.
I'm avoiding the gym still. But anyway, we should get back to your bits,
My
right?
bits, yeah.
Yeah, so HRT is good for joints and things like that. And it's good because it's preventative against further osteoporosis and things like that with HRT. So, that's good.
Yeah, I'm considering it. I just don't like the idea of taking something every day. Again, it's that old person thing where we all joke about, everybody I know is on Losec and, and 2 or 3 pills. And I don't quite want to give in to that.
I know, I take these epilepsy pills and I have asthma medication. And I've gotten to an age where I'm like, did I take that today? But I was like, I am not going to get
A pill
one
box.
of those little pill boxes with Monday to Sunday.
No.
So instead I write on the blister pack.
Everybody's got that. Those pill organisers. I'm sorry, it's coming. That's our future.
And there's just so many wonderful things that can happen to ladies. But that's good. I mean, the hot flushes though are obviously a bit debilitating.
Well, they are, but yeah, it's just you can. It's hard when you're on stage and you're supposed to be feeling sexy and powerful, and you've got sweat just
Dripping down between your legs?
dripping down the back of my knees, in my waist. Like I get a lot of sweat in my waist, my face. Yeah, but you just learn to.
Yeah, you power through.
You just learn to power through it. But I am, because I've always run hot. I've always had that issue. It's even worse. I mean, when I did Mamma Mia, because Donna is on stage almost the entire musical. Off stage, because I had very little time off stage, I had a crew that would meet me. One was working a fan and somebody else was on dabbing, and they would follow me around my backstage path the entire show because I had so little time to get changed. And there were quick changes when you had to get into a full lycra sausage suit. And we had a room where there were 2 giant fans. I mean, we did everything possible to just minimise the sweat.
Can I just clarify? Lycra sausage, is that the ABBA jumpsuit?
Yeah, well, there are 2 times in the show when you have to put on a sausage suit.
I have not heard it called a sausage suit.
Well, that's my affectionate name for it because you are basically a human sausage.
In some lycra.
In some very tight-fitting lycra.
Singing Waterloo at that point, I believe.
Oh, no, the first time you do it, we're singing Super Trooper.
Ah, right.
The second time, all these costume changes are like 120 seconds worth of, and you got to get into platform boots and a bodysuit and earrings and, and there's a whole team.
Yeah.
But honestly, the entire show, I had the Jackie Sweat Police. The moment I got off stage, they would be helping me because if you let it go, there's no going back kind of thing.
And that's on their CV, I'm sure. Jackie's Sweat Police. Wow. Yeah, and peeling that stuff and then putting stuff over the top.
Yeah, it's disgusting. And also just like having to dry your hair in the middle of a show because you're sweating through. Honestly, it's a burden.
Wow.
And I can never drink enough water.
to
replace it.
Once I did my show on the Adelaide Fringe in this venue, it was 46 degrees outside and the air conditioning stopped working when it got to 35 degrees, which is really useful. It was a heat pump on the wall. It was a historic building, so they couldn't put more stuff through. And I sweat a patch through my corset.
Wow.
Yeah. Sort of good strength deodorants.
I don't wear deodorant.
Interesting.
Because I don't smell.
This is amazing.
I'm wrecking with self-doubt as I'm saying it.
Maybe sound sure.
All these years I've been thinking, I don't smell. I have stinky feet, but not stinky pits.
Wow.
I don't whiff.
Especially with all of that sweating. That's very good.
Yeah, no, I'm not. I'm blessed. That's one good thing. But honestly, I was a human water feature, and I joke about this all the time. I say to people, I was a human water feature, and welcome to. I always just take that space before someone has the chance to say it.
Right.
But it's actually true.
Right. And have you talked to, did Grant know anything about menopause?
I don't know. I mean, I certainly, he's aware of it.
Right.
He's aware of it now.
Yeah.
But I don't think I've had mood swings, but maybe I have. And that's one of the things about HRT that interests me is I'm suddenly going, well, am I that frog in the water that's slowly boiling and I'm not aware of what the changes are? Because you're just not aware of it when it's normal. The cliche is that you turn into some sort of bitch. And I don't think that's happened. And I haven't had rage like my older sister has.
Yeah,
I don't have any of that. And I don't think I've got any more. I'm not prone to anxiety. So I'm, yeah.
Yeah, I think you would know. My friend she just said she just started shouting at shop assistants for no good reason. So, did you ever get PMT with your tardy periods?
No.
Yeah.
Very tardy emotional periods as well. No collateral damage there.
Thanks God.
Yeah.
And so, have you talked to your sons about it at all?
Well, I don't hide
Been
it
aware
from
of
them.
it.
Don't sit down and have fireside chats about it. But I don't hide it. I've made it I've never hidden anything. I mean, I talk about it on stage all the time.
Great.
Because I want to normalise it. And honestly, that's the big shock, is that I'm talking to women I've worked with all my life who are only now telling me what their experience was, whereas only because I'm bringing it up, because I'm going through it now and I'm not going through it quietly.
Yeah.
The whole thing about when you get to a certain age, if you want to admit any weakness or any physical ageing, you're scared it's going to marginalise you even more. So I think that's why people keep it quiet, because the only attention I get is for people saying, "Oh, you're looking good for your age."
Yeah.
And that's the compliment, that the only compliment we can expect now is, "Gosh, you look good for your age."
I wrote a poem about that, and it was when I was 35. People said it to me, and that's how I met my husband. I got up on stage at an open mic and did this poem about how you can fuck off for telling me I look really good for 35, and he found it attractive. And he did a poem about how he wanted to be like Tom Jones. So and here we all are. Yeah, but my friend was like, "Wait till you're 40, you'll love that compliment." I'm like, I don't know if I will.
I'm aware of it. Honestly, like Facebook, social media is something we have to contend with. When you're trying to sell shows, I'm on Facebook. Yeah. And honestly, I post selfies when I'm emceeing, my face and my hair and my outfit, mostly so I can remember what I wore in case I get asked back, because I always get asked back.
Of course.
And I get hundreds of likes for my glamour shots, just boring old selfies. But if I post something about, I'm supporting the Breast Cancer Foundation, or I'm doing something, something with extra, nothing.
Yeah,
wow. And it's entirely based on looking good, girl. Wow, great. And I know it's, I don't know, I looking good for your age. No, I just look good. Mm-hmm. And I look good when I feel good. Mm-hmm. And everybody looks beautiful when they smile.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what we say. And the most radical thing you can do as a woman is not go away. It is.
I do feel like it's a form of activism, because I feel that we are so invisible. We're just so not mentioned, even though in the arts we're the major purchasing power in the arts, and yet we are invisible.
And that's what I used to get frustrated, that people my age weren't coming to my shows, and they didn't, like in my 30s, 20s. But now that I'm growing into the demographic that buys the tickets, I'm suddenly realising, and writing shows that appeal to them, which is going to segue into something you've got something to talk about later. But like Jane Austen, is that perfect target market for these women who love these shows. And I love these women because they make the effort. They come out, they're supportive, they like to laugh really loudly. They want to buy their fridge magnets and talk to me afterwards. And I bloody love appealing to this demographic, and a lot of Jane Austen particularly brings out a broad spectrum of girls and women and groups, which I really love, because they have the purchasing power. And the fact we've been ignored for so long is so galling.
It is weird, but I think it's that old Freudian thing that once you cease to be reproductively useful, then you somehow cease to be, you don't need to be in the room anymore.
Yeah.
It's really weird. I mean, a 75-year-old man can be the leader of a country, but there's not many 75-year-old women who would be taken seriously enough to do that. I mean, it's very rare that older women are treated seriously.
Absolutely.
Silly old bitch. Yeah, well, that whole thing of you've had your time, move over. Oh, God, that's a really common theme.
Yeah.
And I just think there's sort of room for everyone, really.
Yeah. And that's why I make my own work.
Yeah.
Because then you can bypass the gatekeepers and do what you want. You just need an audience generally. It's a small problem currently.
Yeah, well, at the moment,
Yes. Anyway, we're getting off topic again.
Sorry.
No, that's I also would like to commend you on naming your two children after halves of comedy acts. We've got Stan and Ernie. So we've got Bert and Ernie and Laurel and Hardy. Was that on purpose?
We just liked old man Cardi names.
Yeah.
So we had lists of old man Cardi names.
Was that actually intentional?
Yeah, absolutely intentional. Actually, Stan named Ernie.
Oh, did you like the Muppets?
Yeah, they do love the Muppets. He's got an Ernie doll and
Great. My grandfather was called Stan. Right now, did you manage to find a fun fact that was a segue into appealing to older ladies in entertainment?
I did, members of the audience. Do you know what the longest running scripted musical in Las Vegas history is?
In Las Vegas history?
In Las Vegas history, it is in fact Menopause, the musical. It's still running. It's been running for a squillion years. This musical, it's a weird one because it's like a jukebox musical. So it uses music from the 60s and 70s, 80s, big hits, and they change the lyrics to make them menopause appropriate.
Right.
And the setup is 4 women at a lingerie sale in a department store, basically fighting over a black bra.
Oh.
And I think one's a soap opera star and one's a financial analyst and one's a housewife and one's something else. But basically through their interactions over this bra, they realise they have a lot in common with their physical symptoms of menopause, and it's hilarity ensues.
And have you seen it?
I think I have seen it, and I think I saw it and I would have been early 30s or maybe maybe mid-20s, and I looked at it through with a sneering, for God's sake.
I mean, we all did.
Yeah.
We all did. And do you think that's justified? Do you think it actually could be clever, it could be more interesting, or do you just think it's sneering at older women? Or
I think it's ignoring the power of sharing a shared experience. Because I've had the same thing. I did a show years ago called Mum's the Word.
Yes.
And that's about childhood, about having babies and how, humiliating it is for your body and all these other things. But basically, it's when you tap into that shared world where people feel able to actually say what they went through because they're in a safe space, it's actually a beautiful thing to do.
I mean, my stand-up was like that. It'd be like the laugh of recognition.
Yeah, it's the laugh of recognition, and that's what you get with women all the time. So, Menopause the Musical, I know we'll be able to see it, honestly, because it comes back every 5 or 10 years. It's the gift that keeps on giving. And I don't know that it is necessarily a piece of high art, but it certainly connects with people.
And who knows? I mean, the thing is, too, is if there's less shame around it all, then maybe more people will write things inspired by it, like Julia mentioning it, and stuff. But now, I'm going to pass you that.
I'm going to pass me that. Oh, yeah. We've got a little example, listeners, about the sort of lyric changes.
Are you going to sing some for us?
I will. This is based on
Wishing and Hoping.
Yeah, Wishing and Hoping, the Dusty Springfield. And this is called Drippin' and Droppin'. Just drippin' and droppin' and blinkin' and ploppin', tricklin' and ticklin', running a race, ooh, from my chest to my face. Although I'm looking to find ways to seem composed, what I gotta do is fan it and dab it and blot it and wipe it, yeah, do it. And smile as I do, so no one knows.
So no one knows.
Because that's the thing. We're always pretending we're not going through these symptoms.
So I wanted to try and harmonise with you, but I'm not sure I'm good at it. Well, I think we've rabbited on for quite a long time. Is there anything else that you wanted to say? Do you think around menopause or ageing as ladies and things?
I would just say own your space. I mean, that's the one thing I wish I could say to my young self is at any stage you are, just own your space and enjoy it and enjoy yourself, and don't hide away. I love the feeling that what I do and what you do gives permission for women of our age to get out there and be loud and be who they are and don't apologise for it. You do exactly what you do, you babe.
Yeah,
and
just be full on.
Yeah, be full on and don't be apologetic and don't hide away because you feel that you're not perfect or whatever. Because any excuse, and they do lock baby in the corner and that's it.
Yeah. And we are not to be defined by our fecundity.
That's right. That's right. Fecundity. Those days are gone.
Yes. I try to say fecundity as much as possible.
That's a great word, isn't it?
It's a very good word. Fecundity. And on those notes, thank you so much for making your way here and bringing cinnamon buns.
Oh, pleasure.
Good luck on your joints and your sweating and maybe HRT. Keep us informed.
Yeah. I will.
And what's your next performance so that we can plug it?
Oh, well, I am appearing in Chess, the musical, with the APO at the Aotea Theatre. Kiri Te Kanawa, whatever it is, auditorium. Hopefully they'll have a PA, so it's nice and loud.
Yes.
And that's in June. And then before that, I'm workshopping a piece with Dust Palace for later in the year. Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, we look forward to seeing it. Ka kite. Thank you very much. Oh. So that was my new best friend, Jackie Clarke, and given that she was at my house for 3 hours, I am proud I managed to get that podcast to just over 50 minutes. And she has delicious sticky buns. I will add the link to the production of Chess that she is in the notes. And thanks for listening. Remember to subscribe and hey, rate me 5 stars. Go on, you want to. Also, don't forget, if you have some vagina questions for upcoming guest, Dr. Samantha Newman, flick them my way. If you want to support the making of this podcast, head to my Patreon. I'm also thinking about maybe doing a new podcast of only good news. If you like that idea, flick me a message too. Working title, Goody Goody News Shoes, because I'm quite a goody Goody two shoes. Anyway, if you're still listening at this point, also, well done. Thank you. I have some great upcoming guests. We have Asta, previously from Good Morning, Jeanette Thomas, previously from Good Morning, Judith Tizard, previously from the Labour Party, and some more. I actually have no idea how long this season's going to go on for, so send me your guest suggestions too. I'm just trucking along as I'm going at this point. But until next time, I have been Penny Ashton, head vagina correspondent for Vulva News Network on Showy Ovaries. See you next time.